Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to today's Asia seminar. And a very warm welcome from the sunny and beautiful Oxford today. So good afternoon for UK and also good evening for most of you joining from Asia. Thank you very much for your time today and also for joining us today's Asia webinar. So while people are still joining our webinar, so I'm going to start with briefly introduce myself. And I'm Jane Wang, and I'm one of the Executive MBA recruitment team. I'm responsible for recruitment for candidates, particularly based in East Asia and Southeast Asia. So today, I'm actually very fortunate to be joined by a team of my colleagues who you will see on the panel. That's Joe, Ali, and Isabel, who will be helping with the slides and also monitoring the Q&A session later. And also, just for your information, this session today will be recorded. And so if you need a copy of the recording, just recap or revisit the session, please let us know and we will be more than happy to send you a copy. And we also love to have some interactive session with you, all of you. And also this session is particularly designed for you to ask questions to our panelists who are very, very kindly given up their time and to come to join this session and share their insights, experience, and their stories where they study with us at Oxford. So now let's have a think about the questions and you have opportunity to put your questions in the Q&A session later. So before we actually move into our Q&A session today, and we have a huge pleasure to welcome our alumni as well as our students, and that's Ren-Mark Mahon from Japan. And he's actually in his last module, and he's literally attended his graduation ceremony a week ago, slightly more than a week ago. And we also have Shruti from India, from Delhi, India, and she's the graduate. Well, she's our alumni. I think it's like starting in January 2017. And also we have Dr. Pramod Kashit from our January 22. And eventually we also have Catherine Xu from China, and she joined us in September 23. So I think today's panelists, you will have the experience of somebody who have graduated for quite a few years or somebody still currently on the program. And that's a good mix of our panelists. So before we actually really start, I'm going to give a short introduction of the context of our program, and especially to those who haven't got opportunity to have a one-to-one meeting with us or still in the early process of doing our research in the Executive MBA program, including Oxford and the rest of the world. So talking about the Oxford Executive MBA program, and we are very proud of the high quality we provide to our students. So the ranking is one thing that to say that we are a highly ranked EMBA program, and we've been ranked number one EMBA in the world for the 2 consecutive years, so last year and this year. And likewise, University of Oxford also ranked number one in the world for the 10 consecutive years. So from year 2016 to 2026, every single year, University of Oxford has been ranked number one in the world. So that shows the quality of our program. And the next slide, please. This is a quick snapshot of our program. And as you can see here, each year we are going to have 2 intakes, January and September. And this is a 2-year part-time program covering a period between 22 to 24 months. So each cohort, we only select 60 to 70 students to the cohort. And what we are doing in terms of the delivery, we are doing a very strong and unique model, which is a 1-week module delivery. So every 4 to 6 weeks, students come to study and mingle with their peer students on site in Oxford. So over the period of 2 years, you are going to study 11 core modules plus 4 elective modules. And in addition to that, that's going to be 1 entrepreneurship project in your year 1. So in total, instead of doing an academic thesis, we are actually inviting students to do an entrepreneurship project. And one of the very special, strong area of Oxford Executive MBA program is the international elements. So the international elements, so we have students have opportunity to study minimum 2, maximum 4 international trips, depending on the modules you select. So you have a list of the countries here. So students going to Vietnam, India, Peru, US, or South Africa. So we actually introduced Vietnam to replace China after the pandemic. So that's the list of the country students have opportunity to do their international modules. So next slide, please. So a quick snapshot of our program and cohort. As you can see, every year we have around 60 to 70 students, and around 1/3 of them are female leaders. Students coming from normally 30 to 40 nationalities, and the average years of work experience tends to be averagely between 14 to 16. And in terms of the employment sectors and industries, it varies between 23 to 38 business sectors, depending on the cohort. Average age of our students, 40 years old, roughly, averagely. And the average executive assessment score, that varies between 153 to 156, depending on the cohort as well. So this is a quick snapshot of the program to see the what is actually you're going to have when you become a student. So next slide, please. So one of the very distinctive part that our program is really proud of is the diversity. So when we talk about diversity, the first thing we're talking about is the international diversity. This is a population, like a map that you can see. So from students from Asia, averagely between the 2 years, then we have around 15% of students coming from Asia, which includes East Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and Central Asia. And around 15 to, depending on the cohort, 15 to 30% coming from the UK, averagely around 20 to 25% are UK-based students. And when we talk about UK-based students, and then very likely you are going to see the students from many nationalities as well. And also around another 20% from EU countries. And as you can see, we also have a high percentage from the rest of the world. And next slide, please. So when we talk about diversity, the first thing is about the nationality diversity, international diversity. And the second thing, which we are really proud of, is actually our industry and the business sector diversity. So instead of having some other business schools where the students are predominantly from one or two industries, here, as you can see, this is the map that you can tell the students coming from many different sectors, different industries. And wherever, whatever industry you are from, very likely you have your peer student coming from that industry, or the graduates from that industry as well. So that's a big diversity opportunity for students to be in when they become a student of us. And next slide, please. So finally, is actually when you become Oxford students and what you are expecting as a student. Of course, one thing is very strong is the very strong network and the networking opportunities, and also the alumni resource that we are building for our alumni, our students and current students. And also there are many events on campus happening in the business school. And also, of course, nobody will forget going to the famous Oxford Union to have experience there or even participate in the event. So that's a lot of things that you can explore, and not only become a student of Oxford, it's also become a student of a larger network and global network. So let's come to the next session. Next slide, please. So hopefully we actually provide a little bit background of our program, and now is actually really the time that we are giving to our panelists and our students here, for them to share their experience, their stories, their insights. So let's give a formal welcome to our panelists today from Asia and the various parts of Asia. So thank you very much for taking your time today and also share your experience with all of us, and also give us opportunity to hear what you have got during your study and what challenges you might face during the studies. So let's actually start with some questions. So while we are waiting for the questions from the candidates, from the guests, I think to start with, can we actually give the time for the panelists to briefly introduce yourself a little bit? And if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and also what you're doing at the moment. So that will be a great opportunity. So I think just for the east side, we are going to start with the order that we have on the panel, and that will be Ren, Shruti, Pramod, and also Catherine. So Ren, do you mind starting with your introduction, please?
Absolutely, Jane. Thank you very much. Very much a pleasure being here. It almost feels like yesterday that I was actually on the other side, really looking for different programs. So I'm a part of the J24 cohort, and we just had our end of year ceremony 10 days ago. We still have two more assignments. I'm officially not yet like fully graduated, but this 2 year has been like amazing. So just a brief background. I'm based in Japan. I'm a chief operating officer of one of the leading English education providers in Japan called Liberty English Academy. Um, yeah, so I'm just still a current student. Really, just had a blast of the 2 years, and yeah, looking forward to responding to any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ren. Thank you. And Shruti, let's come to you.
Thank you, Jane, for having me on this session. And hello, everyone. I'm Shruti Kharbanda. Um, I've actually lived in the UK for 16, 17 years and then moved back to India just before COVID to be closer to my aging parents. I'm currently robotics and AI chairperson for Indian Chamber of Commerce. I'm also involved with a lot of policy making and laws around AI and ethical AI. On the side, I also have a startup in robotics called Xstride Robotics, and we are looking at building humanoids for defense and hazardous industry in India.
Thank you, Shruti. And also, Pramod, do you mind sharing a little bit about your stories?
Yeah. Hi, thank you, Jen. So, uh, my name is Pramod. Based here in Singapore. So, my background about the industry is I work in the drug development, to be precise, in the clinical development side of the new medicines. My job is to get medicine to the markets from the lab, in short. An education background is I'm a pharmacist, did my PhD, and then went to the Executive MBA. Currently, I'm a founder and the CEO for one of the leading clinical trial management company in Asia, called Expecto Health Science. So it's actually an Oxford EMBA spin out. I met my co-founder in the MBA over the drink. So, and that's where we conceptualized the company. And in fact, this was one of my industry project uh, during AMBA, and it's been successfully expanding in the Asia. And our vision is to provide access to new therapies to the patients from emerging markets through clinical trials.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's really good to know that your entrepreneurship idea become something commercial and also doing really well. And that's wonderful. You know, we love to hear more stories from it. So, Catherine, we come to you. Is Catherine here?
I don't think Catherine has joined the call at the moment. She might be having some
Okay.
technical difficulties, so I would say move on to any
Okay.
questions. Yeah.
So no problem. So as I mentioned earlier, we are really inviting the guests to ask your questions, especially your questions to our panelists, to get their insights, also their stories. So to warm up, and I've got actually a question for the panelists to share your thoughts. One thing I'm quite keen to understand is that, you know, when you applied for the executive MBA program like a few years ago, so you were already in a very well-established careers in your life. So you're very successful in what you're doing. So what motivations did you have, or what made you decide to pursue a MBA, EMBA at that time? So who would like to start this question with?
I'll start. Uh,
Thank you, Shruti.
so I'm an engineer by education. So as an engineer, we think everything is technology centric. But over my career, when I came to Oxford, I had started to realize there's a business aspect as well, and there's I knew a lot about finance, but I wasn't very proficient at it. And I looked at executive MBA as a way to gain access and understand frameworks that I could really use to get to the next level of my journey. So that's what prompted me to do the executive MBA. Other than that, I always wanted to do MBA from a reputed institution because of the networks and the power of the networks it provides. And I can seriously vet the fact that I live in India these days, and in Delhi itself, there are over 1,000 people who are Oxford, Cambridge graduate that we meet on a regular basis. So that tells you how powerful this network can be, which can be up and down from government to non-government to private sector to private investment, everything to lawyers. So I think it gives you access to networks that you wouldn't usually get, or people you can't meet on a daily basis.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Shruti. So, any other takers?
Yeah, I think if there's nobody, I can take it up. So my story is like slightly different. So I had really good jobs, doing well on the career front. More from the science background, focusing on medicines, but was doing kind of a management and leadership, and at the same time commercial operations roles to support the business growth. But I was doing everything right, but I wanted to revalidate the concepts and framework which I'm using, whether it is right or not. And I thought, okay, what would the best place to revalidate that? And we were looking for the best business schools, where particularly I was looking for a diversity and a global perspective rather than the regional perspective, because regional perspective I already had more extensive experience in Asia Pacific region and network here. So I went for to get a global perspective, revalidate the concept. And the third thing, which was most important, was the framework or the confidence to quit my job. I wanted to get from somewhere, and definitely the SBS professors and then some of my mentors did give me that, and I quit my job immediately after MBA, EMBA, and that has
That's good.
helped. Yeah, and no regret for the decisions.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. So, Ran, I saw that you're trying to say something as well.
Yes, so for me, I come from a very unconventional background. So I studied in the art industry. I'm also in education. But I've always been in business in a way, management, business side. It was almost kind of like learned on the job. And I wanted to do an MBA to get like the somewhat similar to Shruti, but get the frameworks, get the academic understanding, and also the common kind of language or the knowledge that business leaders speak in. So doing that, like getting an MBA was something that I always wanted to pursue. So that's one reason. The second, I guess, it kind of is similar to Shruti and both Pramod as well. But I wanted to get like international exposure. I work in Japan. It's a very domestic market. I want to get the exposure to international, um, just international exposure. And so that was another reason. And then finally, I guess, just being affiliated to one of the best academic institutions in the world, I believe that opens up so many doors. And so those would be the three reasons, like to have that academic background, backbone in a way, international exposure, and the brand in a way. So yeah, those are the three things.
Yes, thank you, Ren. And I can see our guests are asking some very interesting questions. And so I'm going to take a few questions from the audience, and also love to hear your thoughts as well. So one of the questions we received here is like, can you please tell us the primary reason why you chose Oxford EMBA among a lot of EMBA programs globally? Why did you choose Oxford over the others?
I can go first because I guess I'm the most recent. But um, for me, it was like a very easy choice. I actually visited different EMBA programs. I wanted to go to Europe because of the diversity aspect. So I looked at schools, different programs in the UK. I'm sure other programs are as good as Oxford, but after visiting, I just thought that being part of the Oxford brand is massive. I also thought that the week-long module is perfect because from Japan, it takes about 15 hours flight to get to the UK. I'd rather spend a week like fully immersed instead of just a weekend, just to give myself the experience of being there, but also the network that you can actually build. I think there was a different question about how do we spend the week, but the week is very packed. But at the same time, you have that opportunity to really connect and build relationship with your cohort, but also the other cohorts and other network in the wider university. So the week-long module was something that I thought was really, really good and important. Um, and the ranking also is something that I took in consideration. Obviously, the higher ranking, it just is good on your CV and whatnot. So the rankings, the Oxford brand, the week-long module, I think those were the deciding factors for me.
Thank you, Ren. That's very good. And any Shruti and Pramod?
Do you want to go first,
Yeah.
Pramod, or yeah?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Shruti. You'll cover half of my thoughts, so it is easy job for me at the end.
Well, for me, the reason I went to Oxford because I was living in Reading at the time. It was actually just about half an hour away from home first, and I'd already done postgraduate diploma in global business just to try out whether or not I could go back to school. Because after working for so many years, you start doubting yourself that whether I'm good to go back to school for so many, and really work hard there. So that was one of the reasons. The other reason was, of course, the Oxford brand, like Ren said. I was also looking at diversity, yes, but places where we could build real relationships. And I realized, and I was actually evaluating between London Business School and Oxford and Harvard, by the way. Um, and the reason I settled for Oxford is I realized when people come and spend time together, that's when the bond is built for a lifetime. But if you come in and spend a weekend of class, people are always rushing, rushing, rushing. You'll end up making a small group. You'll just have a small network and you won't land up expanding as much as you would when you have that immersion experience. And the other thing I chose Oxford was because of the history. And every time I went to Oxford, the energy is so powerful. It's a very old university. The architecture and everything is just fabulous out there. So it takes you back in time with where you want to become back into academia and learn more and more and more. So that's why I chose Oxford.
Yeah, I love that. So for me, I also find Oxford City is a fantastic, beautiful place. It just like brings you to the history of this beautiful country. So that's that you don't really see that a lot in many places, and Oxford is definitely special on that. Thank you, Shruti. And Pramod?
Yeah, for me, it was mainly the course content and course structure. I chose Oxford over MIT actually there because I like the idea of being there 1 week together, spending time to build long-term connections and networks and friends all across the world from a diverse backgrounds, which would help in basically crystallizing your thought process and all. Compared to a few other universities where I had a choice, like MITs, where I had to go 3 days in a week in the evening program, where I get less time to make the connections. So here it was more concentrated efforts. The second thing was again, which was the most important again, was the cohort diversity and then the geographies from where people were coming, like for our batch, if maybe a batch of 63 students coming from almost 36 countries traveling every month. So we get a fresh perspective from each continent globally. So that was another thing. And then third one was again my background is more of a pharma and healthcare, where exactly that when we took an admission because this COVID was just finishing, and then AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine was one of the things which was developed in Oxford, and I had the curiosity to meet those scientists, which I met them, and again that also inspired me to start this company and start up here.
Yeah, that's I think it's a fantastic story. A lot of people actually, when we talk to alumni and also our current students, what made you decide to choose Oxford over many other options? And we've got, a lot of different answers, but one answer, really applied to most of them is the structure of Oxford. And unlike a lot of business schools that people know that they do either fully online program or it's a blended between online and offline, but in Oxford, because we deliver the whole program on site in Oxford. So that gives a strong edge and also opportunity for our students building up a very, very strong and profound relationship. And then this relationship will go beyond their professional life. It also benefit their future professional life. So that's something, very interesting that, all of you mentioned that, because that's also the feedback from many of our alumni, also our students. So I can see quite a few people here ask another question. It's relating to your benefits, how you feel. So one of the questions here is like during your study at Oxford EMBA, so what do you think was the greatest gain, biggest benefit? And after that, what was the biggest change in your career or life? So that's a question from one of the guests. So any taker, please?
So
I can take it. So go ahead. I think
no,
I should give a
Prabhu,
chance to
go
others.
first. I took it last time, so go first.
I think for me is change in perspective towards looking to any problems or business opportunities is the biggest change I would say. I don't look for immediately on a transactional gain on any opportunities nowadays. I try to validate through purpose and framework everything. So is it fitting to my purpose and vision when I take up those assignments and opportunities? If the opportunities is good but still not fitting in the purpose, I tend to give it away.
Yeah, that's good. That's excellent. So Shruti?
Yeah, I think well, Oxford made me, like I said, I come from an engineering background. It actually gave me very good frameworks to think about from different perspectives. Now, one of the key changes that happened to me was I actually started my first startup while I was at Oxford. During my, I think, third or fourth module is when I started it. And I landed up selling that company, the tech. So I exited in 18 months, pretty much as soon as I finished the executive MBA. So that was one of the key changes, things that happened to me. But what it gave me was framework. So because I was very strong technically, I always thought when you think about marketing, when you think about investors, when you think about finance, I had a very good idea, but actually making sure that you've covered all the bases. And even if you have people working for you, to be able to ask the right questions to give them the right direction is what Oxford gave me. So
Yeah.
that was one of my key learnings from there. The other thing that happened was it opened so many doors. I mean, every time I said Oxford, people just thought about it differently. Um, it just opens doors for you. People automatically think you're very intelligent, whether you are or not. It doesn't matter. Sorry, I had to put that.
So Shruti is actually one of the questions here asked by one of the guests is that what specific doors have been opened since joining? So I think you can explain a little bit what kind of doors have been particularly opened because of Oxford.
So, for example, when I came back to India, I was still thinking what to do because I just sold my company and I was almost freelance consulting. I straight away got an offer from a company to be head of their IoT and AI department. And I actually landed up switching fields and I was a chief operating officer for a fintech and bought in that technology. So you land up crossing industry boundaries and people understand that you have that capability to do that. Previously, that thing didn't happen. So Oxford does open doors. Even my, Indian Chamber of Commerce position was offered because they thought, oh, she's Oxford, she's in robotics and AI. God, you got to lead us there. So, so it just opened doors. It does.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ren. I think just now I saw you trying to say something as well.
So yeah, so to the previous question, I would want to hope that the my biggest success would be something that's upcoming. Just finishing off the program, but I would say like the few kind of takeaways or what the program gave me would be almost like a confidence of going through the program. People tell you that it's a tough 2 years, and it really is. Trying to balance work and family and all the assignments and traveling. It's a lot. But going through that gives you that confidence of I can actually do this, go through this, and also be at par with these amazing global leaders. And as Shruti was alluding, that having that brand as well and having those opened, like it gives you an confidence and it gives you kind of this mentality of dream big, try and achieve the highest possible. Don't settle for something that's not a challenge. So I think that confidence is something that is really instilled through the 2 years.
Yeah,
And in terms of the doors, not something a little bit less serious, but I was invited to join the Japanese F1 Grand Prix. So if anyone likes F1, you can get to participate in their program, things like that. But yes, I'm sure there'll be a lot more doors that'll be opened in the years to come. So thanks.
yeah, certainly. Yes, thank you, Ren. It's actually, I think people are, based on what you mentioned earlier, Ren, particularly, it's like when we are people already working established careers, they are really have a lot of professional like a work commitment, and also they have a family to balance. And then, so one of the questions from the guest here is, how can you actually share how this can be accomplished with the current commitments of your corporate life, with your, what you are doing? How did you manage to balance your work, your life, and also your study here? Can you actually, how did you manage? So can anybody share what you did?
Yeah. So one thing you definitely would need is understanding from your company. Obviously, it's not like you can like rest your laurels or anything like that. You have to be fully committed to your work. So I still work a full day. And then I just had to utilize the time as much as possible. So my time to commute to work and back, my lunch breaks, after coming back after the work, catch up with the family, and then it's your time to kind of do the assignments and things like that. It's just being committed. It's just the 2 years that you have to kind of bite the bullet and do as much as possible. Yeah, I don't know if I can give you like a very good strategy of try to cope it, but just hang in there and yeah, go for it.
And Shruti and Pramod, did you also, have the same challenges with, balancing the work and also your life at the time?
Yeah, I did. It was actually I was in global sales role at the time, and I was traveling pretty much 20 days a month, which was really hard. So one of the tricks that I learned is a lot of the PDFs that you get to read. There's a function of read out loud, and I use that a lot because that just help me read all the assignments while I was cooking. I would just put it on and I would keep listening to it and go back to it for the sections that I wanted to listen again. So at least I got through a lot of my reading through, using technology and tools. Read out loud really works, especially when you're traveling. You can put it on your phone. You can just, when you're driving. So you can read through a lot of the things. And the other thing that helped, like Ren said, do your work, go look at your health, spend time with the family, take out a couple of hours every day after dinner to read a section or finish a part of the assignment or do some research or build at least the basis of the assignment that you have to do. So you have to almost tick along every day because you can't do it everything in one go. One of the things I realized was it's not that easy to do the assignments. The assignments are not as straightforward that someone asks you a question and you can just type and get done with. You have to actually put a lot of thought into the assignments because the case studies that come through to you, you have to think about it, you have to analyze it, you have to think from the framework's perspective. It also challenges you to think which framework applies and which one doesn't apply and why it doesn't apply. So you have to bring out that critical thinking and hypothesis of why they did and what they could have done differently, and things could have turned out better based on your experience or not. So I think it's a very thought-provoking course, and just give time every day, little bit time every day. I think that's what helps.
Yeah, thank you, Shruti. That's very helpful. And Pramod, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, actually, again, it's difficult to manage the work and then studies for this course because you always have some pre-readings and then the assignments as well. So, but fortunately or unfortunately, I had like in 14 hours flight from Singapore to London, UK. So I use most of time at the airports, lounges, in the flight. Like same thing which Shruti was doing, putting this on the read it loud mode in a mobile, and then listen to those assignments or pre-readings, particularly assignments. Like block all the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays while I'm in Singapore. So those things are, and the other tricks which we used or personally I used was to extend the stay by 1 day. Like when we finish our course module by Friday, then I extend it on Saturday, my stay there, and try to finish as much as I can on the assignment part there itself.
Yeah. So I think it's sometimes it's very common. We understand EMBA program is 2-year program, and in this 2-year event, I think essentially EMBA is investment. It's an investment in careers and also investment in life. So comparing to a long, really many years, like a few decades of a career life, I think 2 years commitment is something. If you have a big plan for your future, for your careers, that's something that's called commitment. So that's why if we have got the determination to really determine to do this, and then for that 2 years is a block time to try to balance and juggle the various commitments. That's something, personal decision people have to make sometimes. And another question, sorry, Shruti.
Sorry, Jane. And one thing that really, really helped me a lot was during the assignments, we almost reached out to some of our peer friends and discussed the assignments in terms of their thoughts, their thinking. And it was always very, very interesting to get everyone's perspective. So that was one of the things I think that would be absolutely fabulous, that you would find that people would bring out perspectives you would have never thought about, and being open to those inputs. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a very beautiful thing, Shruti, because even though the students are on campus for a week, every 4 to 6 weeks, but during that gap time, people still, especially if they work on the same projects, they still talk to each other, they still have this personal relationship, contacts, very frequent contacts. So essentially, even though it's a part-time 2-year program, people just got the feeling that they have gone on like a full-time study for 2 years with psychologically that kind of feeling. That's why the strong relationship and strong network can be built up so easily over this kind of structure and format. I think
Yeah, but
that's
it's not
one of the
always
advantage.
studying, right? It's not always studying. We had a lot of fun in Oxford as well. So I
Yes.
think that's one area nobody's been asking, but we have to tell you, Oxford is a lot of fun. You get to, I mean, it's almost like think you're back in college and now you're with, your people who are successful, who've actually gone through a lot of experience and still behaving like you're back in college again, and that just revitalizes you. Sorry, I had to add that.
Yes. So Ren, I saw just now you smile as well when Shruti shared that, like a lot of fun. I can see you are smiling as well.
Well, I think I'm just gonna say Hanks. And people. I mean, for at least the first year out, we had a lot of fun. The dangerous thing is that we have a little bit more money than we used to during our college years. So, and we only have a week. We only have a week to enjoy. So we did make the most of our the time in Oxford to have fun, to catch up, and yeah, I guess live the college life again.
Yes, thank you, Ren, for that. And Pramod, did you have anything to add on that?
No, nothing specific to add this time.
Okay, so I can see another question coming in. So they ask, in what ways did the Oxford EMBA help you secure your next career opportunity during your studies? So it's again regarding your careers, your professional opportunities. Anybody would like to start with that question?
But I became a serial entrepreneur. So I'm at my second startup. So that's one of the big things that MBA gave me the courage to do. Second, it also, like I said, it opened doors. I made a lot of connections. The kind of respect that you get from the industry completely changes the perspective on what you are and how you are. Also, when in fact, I should tell you, I was on TV on Sunday, by the way, talking about AI and ethical AI on one of the Indian TVs. So I do a lot of speaker. I started being called by a lot of the universities and a lot of people to try and consult what I think about the subject. So people start looking at you almost like an expert, and also start regarding what you're saying as someone that carries value. But it also means that you have to be good in your field. Yes, that's also important. But at the same time, it does open all these doors because people, give you opportunities, or you just get to meet people you never have before. So
Yeah. I remember one of the panelists in another event mentioned that he said you never underestimate the power of the word of Oxford. He said once you mention the word Oxford, every door will open to you. So that's a comment from one of our panelists from another event. And I think, Shruti, you're sharing the similar views on that. So Ren and Pramod, do you have anything to add on that?
No, you get a basic the respect and trust that's already inbuilt with the Oxford brand. It helps to navigate through corporate and government and machineries and investors networks quite seamlessly across the globe, actually, through the Oxford network here. So
So that's good. That's excellent. And also, Ren, do you have anything to add on that?
I don't think I can add much, to be honest. I'm just as I said, I'm finishing off my program at the moment, and I'm thinking of doing a transition, perhaps, or starting my new company. So it definitely does bring change, and I'm hoping, yeah, that the change is going to be something very significant in the next couple of months.
Certainly. Thank you, Ren. Excellent. So another question coming here is, I think it's also a very commonly asked question. So it's looking back on your study journey at Oxford. Is there anything you regret not having done at the time? And if you are given opportunity again, what you would definitely have done this time if you do it again? Did you
I would
have
spend
any
I would spend more time in campus around rather than doing studies on a lighter
Thank you.
notes.
Yeah. So, yeah, so two things I would definitely do. So, when you're staying at Oxford, your respective colleges also have accommodations. So, I would suggest take those accommodations because it's a very fabulous experience. Um, the other thing I would suggest that you do is do take negotiation class. That is an amazing elective that you should not miss. I think I missed that one. I couldn't take it for many reasons, but don't miss that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you for the tips. Ren, do you have anything to add on that?
Well, it's a good question. I'm not a person who regrets a lot, so it's a good question. I would say, I mean, yeah, I get like immerse yourself as much as possible in Oxford, as Shruti said. I mean, I was a part of Keble College, and I stayed there most of the time. But I guess like one thing would be like to reach out to different colleges as well. Another thing, I mean, is only so much you can do. But like I guess like take the study seriously. Like sometimes it almost feels like okay, you're back to school. You kind of like you wanted to be there, but then you start kind of losing interest. But I think it really helps like doing the assignments, then taking the classes very seriously, which I did obviously. Um, and I think that's really important. Um, Otherwise, it's a good question. I don't really have a lot of regrets. Um, But I guess it's really much a teamwork. It's your colleagues, it's your family, it's your friends. So do take good care of them. And yeah, just have the best time of your life, I guess.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jen. And another very popular question normally is around the scholarship. So the one question coming from the guests is asking about the scholarship. So did any of you, study when you study your EMBA and the scholarship program, or did you do it self-funding?
Mine was
I
self-funded. Mine was
Go
self-funded.
ahead.
Yeah.
Anybody have a scholarship?
M-
Mine actually,
Maybe
I got a director's scholarship. It's around maybe some 25,000 pound or something like that. I don't exactly remember the amount, but it really helped me because it was self-funded. I did not take a sponsorship from my organization because I wanted to quit after MBA. So didn't want to put up myself in a difficult situation. But this scholarship really helped me. It covered almost my all travels and accommodations for 2 years.
So say if now we give me an opportunity for you, so after you complete the program and you have some advice to future candidates. So now say for example you now go back to your employer. So how do you convince them that this is a really a strong program and worth them investing? So how would you share your practice? How would you like to do for them to gain that employer corporate sponsorship for the study?
Yeah, it depends on the specific roles what one is performing in the organizations. But one thing which I think it's easy to convince, and and I have first-hand experience where my organization did get the benefit is when you start completing modules one by one, whatever learnings you are learning there, you would start implementing it within the organization immediately. You see most of the modules like in maybe strategies, negotiations, or business finance and other modules, the topics you would put a lens and see how it is it's been done in your organizations. Actually, your managers would start seeing the changes immediately. And then one more thing which you can assure is if you are working in a startups or in the bigger organizations where you have a new internal project initiatives which you can take up and validate with the your cohort mates, classmates, where you're getting a pre-advice from diverse group of people there. And certainly that would benefit in improvising or changing the organizational strategies in the organization where you're working.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Pramod. And Ren and Shruti, would you have something to add?
So yeah, so what I did was, because I was working for a very, very big organization at the time, uh, Pramod is absolutely right. You take the learning, you start implementing, but what you also find is there's a lot of change that you find in yourself with the way you manage things, with the way you see things. And trust me, it's very easy and nice to say that, we had so many good guys in MBA, but think if there's 70 type A personalities locked in a room, there's you're gonna learn a lot about how do you handle powerful, successful people with their a lot of ups and downs and their quirks and their egos and their how they emphasize, and still be able to manage to build a team and go forward and be there as a leader. So I think there's a lot of difference you find in yourself, how you handle things. And one of the benefits that I did is I started going back to the leadership, especially in the casual events that we would have, is start discussing the strategy that the company was following and trying to understand. And, I would tell them that, look, I'm studying at Oxford and I'm trying to understand why things are happening the way things are happening. And, they start then seeing you in a different light when you start bringing in your own perspective in terms of strategy of what they're thinking versus what they should do or what they could do. So I think that creates a lot of impact and raises your I mean, it's the way that the management or the senior guys start seeing you as not someone who's in the middle, but pretty much going to the top. So I think it changes people's perspective around it.
Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent. So Ren, do you have anything to add as well?
I don't think I can actually add much more, to be honest. I was just looking at the questions. If you don't mind. So one person asked about electives and which electives that I recommend. So I enjoyed all my electives. I think there's been a slight change in the course. So the negotiation is actually part of the core course. We just finished it two modules ago. And I just started working on the assignment today, so maybe I should kind of chat up with Shruti, get her bigger brains. Um, but in terms of electives, I really enjoyed entrepreneurial finance, which is held in Palo Alto. So it's where Stanford is. It's where all the all the VCs are. So that was really helpful, very insightful. The guest speakers were excellent. So I think it was one of the highlights of the program. Apart from that, I very much enjoyed the M&A module. So that was one of the highlights. I did enjoy private equity as well. It was something completely new to me. So that was very interesting. But yeah, I mean, many of the modules are very interesting, but I would say entrepreneurial finance and the M&A personally was my favorite.
Yes, thank you, Ren. I'm actually really cautious of time, and I can see we've got many questions on the list, but we don't really have enough time to cover all the questions today. And therefore, I'm encouraging you to set a one-to-one call with the recruitment managers of your region, and then we can discuss that. And if you like, we are also more than happy to put in touch with some of our other alumni, other students, so they can share their viewpoints and the insights with you as well. So actually, before we start, I'd like to wrap up the webinar with some other questions, especially for those who haven't really had the opportunity to have a one-to-one meeting with us, and also trying to find out what this program, especially about application process. So Isabel, next slide, please. So in terms of application documents, a lot of people are trying to find out what they need to prepare to get an offer letter, for example. And we will need the academic transcript and also a CV We also will require 2 professional or academic references. And also the central part, the middle part here is quite important. So either we're going to ask for a GMAT or executive assessment exam score, or if you have got experience in management or quantitative mathematical skill sets, then you can by all means ask for a waiver on that. And in terms of English language, if you are coming from a country that English is not first language or your work language, then we will also ask for an English language certificate. And if you're coming from one of those countries or one of those backgrounds, then again, you can ask for a waiver for the second part. And then the bottom part here is actually something really related to Oxford. So there are going to be 3 essay questions, and 2 of them are quite straightforward and only 500 words each. And then the third essay is something very practical and relevant to your background, your work, and your careers. And then you also need to turn that essay 3 into a video essay, 2-minute video essay for us to also assess your application. So that's all the documents that we will require for our application. And next slide, please. In terms of the process, once your application is submitted online, it's going to be under the first review by our admissions committee. So once that decision is made, if you are strong, and you will be invited to a second stage, which is a formal interview. And the interview will be the real assessment, for the whole process. And once the interview is completed, this decision is going to our admissions committee for the final review. And once the review decision is made, you are going to receive a decision, either congratulations or I'm sorry. So, really, we hope that people who are coming to the webinar, you will prepare a strong application, and then we hope that you will receive your offer pack. And next slide, please. So in terms of the scholarship, some people, guest asked earlier. So there are the list of scholarships that you can check. Apart from the Executive MBA program scholarship, there are also scholarship availability for the business school as well as the wider university. So by all means, check the different categories and then apply for those that you think you are eligible. Next slide, please. So coming to the application, we introduced 5 deadlines. So the first deadline for September 26 has already passed, which is last month. And then the next one coming up will be the January, and then March, May, and June. So each deadline, before each deadline, you have opportunity to submit your application. And thank you. Next slide, please. So what you can do next, either you can submit your CV for a formal review, and then you will hear from us, to see if you are possibly suitable for our program, or you can book a one-to-one call with our recruitment managers. And also there are a list of upcoming events, upcoming webinars, and you are more than welcome to register on the webinars and attend our future events. And also there will be opportunities like this that you can have the opportunity to share and listen to our panelist stories. And next slide, please. So when you submit your application and when you are accepted, then you're going to be in this 2-year exciting journey. And at the end of the exciting journey, which Ren just had 10 days ago, that's a moment that you are going to celebrate your success, your achievement in these 2 years with your family and friends. And then it's not really a closure of a study, yet it's the opening of a new chapter of your life, your career, as well as your lifelong learning with Oxford. Because being part of Oxford, instead of you having experience of the business school, you're going to be in a bigger community of University of Oxford. And as our panelists earlier said, and Shruti, Pramod, and also Ren said, once you carry the title of Oxford Executive MBA alumni, if you have this title, then many, many doors will be opened to you. And if you want to find out more about, what doors are open to you and what benefits are going to bring to you, by all means, talk to our recruitment managers and also talk to our other alumni on other events. And thank you very much for the time today, and really appreciate for Ren coming from Japan. Now it's 10 o'clock for you. It's very late. And also for Shruti, it's 6:30 from India. Also for Pramod, it's 8 o'clock for you is it not 8 o'clock? 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock for you in Singapore. Thank you very much for your time today, and also thank you for all the guests, and see you next time. Thank you.